Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Amy, and I'm coming to you live this morning from my Facebook page for Healing Solutions Functional Medicine. And I'm so excited this morning. I get to have the pleasure of having a plant-based nutrition coach with us. So I am going to send out some invites and give people a few minutes to join us here live. Minute to get organized. Okay, great.
Hello!
Hello, good morning, Bianca, Jayne. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for doing a beautiful swap with me.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And I think, I think we're all good and live now. I just wanted to give it a minute for the technology to pick up and adjust. So again, welcome everybody who's watching the video live with us. I hope you guys can join. It's a little bit early here in the US. It's only about 10 a.m. here. So I think more people will probably join us for the replay. So if you're watching the
Brilliant.
replay, make sure you comment below #replay. So my name is Dr. Amy. I'm the founder of Healing Solutions Functional Medicine. I am a functional medicine practitioner, a certified health coach, and a pharmacist, and I've been practicing for a while now. And today it is my distinct honor to welcome Miss Bianca Jayne, that plant-based transformation coach, to share with us today all of her expertise on plant-based nutrition and living that plant-based lifestyle. I know I have a lot of people out there in our group that are interested in learning more about going to be a completely plant-based diet, and Bianca has a lot of tips and tricks, and that's what she does on her amazing business. So I will put her links for her website and her Facebook group in the comments below. And you can also find her on, I'm looking at my notes so I make sure I get it right. You can also find her on her website, Overhaul Health and Wellness. Did I get that right?
Yeah, so it's abbreviated. So it's because I thought it was going to be easier to type in shorthand, but it's actually more difficult because people are like HW. So it's Overhaul HW, overhaulhw.co.uk.
Great. Thank you for that. And I'm going to let you start by, if you'll share your story with us, tell us about your journey, because I know at one point you were not plant-based. So I kind of want to hear more about why you made that decision.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me here. So I used to eat steak every day. I thought it was the great source of protein that everyone needs. I used to drink milk with my teas and coffees, and I used to not even care about it. I used to eat cheese all the time, and I didn't think twice about it. I really didn't. And then I went backpacking. Now, growing up, I never confident with my body. I think 99% of women are have at some point, and I've just put a poll up on my Instagram story, have at some point talked negative to themselves, not looked at themselves in a great way, or just being self-conscious. So I was one of those people. And I always thought I had excess weight around here, around the belly, and I never liked my legs, never liked my arms at all. And I always just thought I was on the chunkier side, and do you know what? That's probably just how I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I went backpacking when I was 18, and it was great, having such a good time. But I drank a lot. And so I got into this kind of cycle of drinking a lot, then eating a lot because I was hungover and just wanted crap food. And then I would drink a lot again because I was in hospitality. Now, if any of you guys have not been in hospitality, I literally mean restaurants, cafes, bars, and it's quite a toxic environment. The working hours are ridiculously long. You never get breaks. And you're always around alcohol and food, and generally the only food that is available to you, which you're smelling all day, is probably a bunch
Yes.
of fries at the end of the day. So I was stuck
Yes. Yes.
in so I was stuck in this pattern of going out and drinking and socializing, because you're backpacking, you don't have any family, and you pretty much just gel with everyone that you work with. So we were going out drinking a lot, hangover food, or I would be so hungover that I wouldn't eat much. So I was really stuck in this binge kind of cycle. Now, it's not the style of binging that a lot of my clients have. But it was still that binge cycle, and it was still a very similar mentality that some other people have in the binge cycle. And yeah, I was either eating too much or drinking too much or not eating at all. So it was really up and down. And then one
So
day,
were you eating like when you're saying binging, you mean like you're eating like lots of like really big meals, or just
I was
like
just
all
eating
at
anything and
once
everything that was junk. Like,
all day?
I mean, the least junk food, the least junk style food that I would have would probably be like pasta and a sauce, or like noodles, or just, it just wasn't that nutritious. I mean, I barely ate vegetables. And I was pretty much snowboarding up the mountain one day, and I was on, of course, a massive hangover. And I'd only had half a bottle, a couple of sips of Coca-Cola by this stage. And I was with some friends, we were snowboarding down, and it was all going well. It was a bit foggy, just didn't know really what was going on. And we all raced down the mountain, and I caught an edge on my board. It literally catapulted my body forward. So I scorpion rolled forwards, hit the back of my head with my board, so that was attached to my feet. So
Ooh, ow.
that gives you an idea of how fast. Now, I'm not a contortionist, so I basically just rolled like that. Came to a stop after about 6 or 7 rolls, and I just felt this intense pain in my stomach, and I knew something had completely gone wrong. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell is this? Never experienced pain like this. Haven't given birth, so I would never compare it to that. And it was just the worst pain. Got taken by the skidoo to the medical centre, and then got flown off to the nearest hospital, because they were like, this is way beyond our parameters. Got flown off to the nearest hospital by helicopter, and they took me in for an x-ray, and they pulled me out a few hours later and said, look, Bianca, you have 2 options here. You either take this surgery, which we're going to have to give you today. The only problem is there's a 50% chance of survival from the surgery, or
Wow.
you die from internal bleeding. So I was like, they're great options, aren't they? Of course, I've
No,
had a
definitely.
lot of morphine in me at this stage, thankfully. So obviously went in for the surgery, got the lucky 50% of that, and was pretty much rendered useless, because they had to cut straight through my abdomen. Bearing in mind, at this stage I had no idea what a spleen was. I'd lacerated my spleen.
Oh no. I was gonna ask if okay.
Sorry, yeah, no, I missed that bit out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they told me you've lacerated your spleen, so they had to cut
Yeah,
straight
that's
through the
very,
abdomen.
yeah, very dangerous injury.
Yes, absolutely, and it's what creates the white blood cells. And there was a
Mhm.
huge thing around the operation as well, is that there's a possibility that if it doesn't heal properly, then I can't go to, and I'm a big traveler, then I can't go to anywhere where I could catch bugs.
Right.
Realistically, since then we've had COVID, so
Mhm.
if it had gone wrong, I probably would have really suffered, or even worse, with COVID, because I would have had no white blood cells, which are the blood cells that help produce, protect, and immunize you against a lot of things.
Right.
So I was pretty much rendered useless after the 3. Sorry, it's a long story, so I'll try and shorten it
No, it's a,
down. I was pretty much rendered useless for about 3 months afterwards. Couldn't move, cough, laugh, giggle, nothing like that. It was just like, just don't do anything that makes your stomach move.
yeah,
And
I
that
mean it's connected to everything, so
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you've been coughing a lot and then you cough again, you're like, oh, it really hurts. Or if you know that feeling, it's kind of similar to that. Um, and so I lost my train of thought. So I was pretty
so
much
you were
rendered
stuck.
useless. Yeah,
Yeah, you were
yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got into Netflix and I was like, okay, I can't watch crappy TV series anymore. I need to watch something educational. I need to perk up my brain a little bit. This is depressing. I'm sitting here like 12, 13 hours a day,
Right.
doing nothing. So that's when I got into some Netflix documentaries and I started learning a bit about nutrition, and it just really
Mhm.
piqued my interest. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So I watched more, did more research, and I kind of created, like, from all of my knowledge, I created like a 10-page booklet. I wrote it all, hand wrote it all, and gave it to my stepmom because she has been suffering from pretty much borderline obesity for most of her life. And I just gave her some step by step things of what I'd learned. And I sent that off back to the UK because I was in New Zealand, and she sent it back. And ever since that day, which was 2015, she has cut out biscuits, she's cut out sodas. I say sodas. If there's anyone from the UK, I mean like fizzy drinks like Coke, don't they? They classify it sodas over with you, don't they? Um, and
Yeah, it's soda or pop, depending on which state you're in.
there we go. So yeah, so she's cut out quite a lot, and although her weight has fluctuated just from that one thing, after watching a couple of things putting together, it really made a big impact on her life, which was amazing. I was like, oh, this is amazing. I want to learn more. I want to help
Hmm.
more people. So
Right.
in that process, I discovered health coaching, and I've also discovered nutrition, and a lot. It's been a very long process for me. I didn't just go from eating steak every single day to vegan the next day or plant based. I went
Right.
from
So,
eating meat and dairy and eggs and cheese every single day to pescatarian. So
mhm.
vegetarian, but I eat fish. So I cut out eggs. And I cut out pretty much meat, so red meat and white meat. And that was 5 years. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I was with my friends, and they're vegan. And we were talking, and I was just like, I kind of, because it was a while since this had happened, and I picked up health coaching and was following along with that.
Yeah, you got you're certified as a health and wellness coach, and
Yeah,
also certified life coach and certified nutrition coach. So
not
you did a
certified
lot of
nutrition coach just yet, but
oh,
definitely a nutrition coach at the moment. Yeah,
in progress. Yeah.
yeah. Got my
Yeah, so
books,
you've
my
done a
study
lot
books
of
here. I can't see them. Um,
yeah, you've done a lot of research and training, and education. And one of the things I talk a lot about with our group and with the people I talk to in general in the pharmacy is education is power, knowledge is power, and we need to do a better job of educating people. So that's a big part of my practice is making sure that I'm getting out good information because there's so much nonsense. So did you notice what kind of changes did you notice when you went from eating steak every day to just even a pescatarian diet? So mostly plants, little bit of fish.
Yeah, the problem was back then, and when I first made the transition, I still didn't know what a legume was. I didn't know what a lentil was. I'd never touched chickpeas in my life that I thought were chickpeas. I didn't know hummus was made of chickpeas at
Chickpeas,
this stage.
yeah, yeah.
So I really went from no knowledge at all, and then it was it just grew and grew over time. And then it was really when I went from pescatarian to vegan or plant-based. I'm more plant-based because I'm less of an advocate. I have a couple of things that aren't vegan, so I have some clothes that aren't. So I don't want to call myself a vegan. I want to call myself plant-based because that just suits me better. Even though I say get to labels, um, throw labels out the window. You do you. You do what suits you. Um,
Right, right. And I've noticed too, and I don't know, you can share your experience because you were talking about your friends who are vegan. I've noticed there's kind of a spectrum within that. Like there are some people who are very strict who don't use any animal products, so no honey, nothing with any kind of gelatin or collagen in it, no animal-based products at all. And then you have people that are, like there's a whole variety in there. So So you
Absolutely.
were sharing the story about talking with your vegan friends, and then you
Mm.
made the decision. What made you decide that you just wanted to go all in, completely plant-based?
For me, it was, I was really focusing on my health and I really wanted to recover quickly from the gym because I love going to the gym. I love working out. I enjoy it. And I wanted to recover quicker. I wanted to see how healthy I could get. And that was it. And of course, when, after I started, I was like, wow, I'm also helping the environment. I'm also saving all of these animals. It was just added bonuses. But my inspiration to make the change was for my own health. I want to live as long as I possibly can. And I know, and it's been scientifically proven, that
Mhm.
on a plant-based diet, you can live much longer when it's done right. This is one of the
Right,
things
and
that I wanted.
that's yes. That was a great transition. I'm like that is what I'm so excited to hear more from you about because I know we've talked a little bit about some of the challenges, like something that I get asked a lot, and I would love to hear your thoughts too because I kind of have a love-hate relationship with soy.
Mhm.
So
I noticed that
soy,
from your prep questions.
yeah.
Give me
So
everything about soy.
I
Find
love
out what.
soy because it's a good plant-based source of nutrition and it has a lot of nutrition in it. Things like tofu are very versatile. You can basically put any kind of flavor on top of tofu that you love, and you can find it in protein powders and drinks. Like it's in a lot of different places. The my hate side of that is for some people, depending on your genetics, I have found that soy can be inflammatory and can trigger some of that inflammation in the immune system. And then the second concern I have is not just for women, but mainly women, but we often will use soy in perimenopausal women to help, or menopausal women to help treat with hot flashes, because, and I know you know this, it contains phytoestrogens. And those are chemicals that are plant-based chemicals, but the structure is similar enough to our human-based estrogen that it will connect to the estrogen receptors in your body and trigger those estrogen like responses. So I think it's more a matter of me, it's more a matter of quantity. Like I think if that like I wouldn't go like I wouldn't use that as my only source of protein. So I kind of wanted to hear how you feel and what your experience is with soy and your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good point to make, by the way, that soy isn't as scary as the media says. Just like we don't need as much protein as the media says. Just because Burger
No.
King tell you that men need a big beefy burger from Burger King to be a man, doesn't necessarily mean that the beef is good for you. So there's a lot of fear mongering around soy, and there is for a lot of products. A lot of foods have changed. We have a lot of GMO, genetically modified foods out there. Foods, can we call them foods anymore? I mean, bananas aren't even supposed to look like that. So a
Yeah.
lot of things have changed, and for in some ways they've changed for good. In some ways, it's just kind of changed for personal preference. Look, where we are in the world at the moment, the best you can do is with as much healthy, fresh produce. So it's really important to also mention, like you said, about how important soy is for women going through pre, menopausal, all the
Yeah.
stages
It
in
can
its own.
really Yeah, it really helps with balancing out the hormones, and it works.
Yeah.
It can work really well for women. That and some other things that we do for them. So I like
Mm.
it for those reasons.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
And it can help alleviate a lot of the symptoms and balance out those hormones. Like you said, and you made a very good point, it's not the same style of, like, if you look at the connections, it's not the same that the body makes. It's not the same estrogen that your body makes, but it is very
right.
similar. And that's why it helps alleviate some of those issues and some of
Mhm.
those problems. It's also high in calcium. And as we know, the older we get, our bone density reduces. So it's super important to keep your proteins topped up because that is a macronutrient. A macronutrient is carbohydrates, fats, proteins, technically alcohol. But carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, we need those three, right? We
Right.
need a good balance of those three to survive. And we do need protein, not to the extent that we think that we might need protein, but that's another long story. I have a long ranty post on my website about
So how
protein.
much without going too far, how much, like, I'm usually, when I'm trying to calculate nutrient requirements for somebody, if they're fairly active, I'm usually thinking somewhere around 40%, 35 to 40% of calories. What do you think?
That's a good way to go. Another good kind of standard basic measure is 1 gram per kilo. I'm not entirely sure. You guys don't measure in kilos, do you?
We we don't, but since I'm in healthcare, I get to go back and forth between English and metric
Okay.
system all day. So to get to kilos, you're going to take your weight and divide it by 2.2, or basically you can cut it in half, is pretty close
Yeah.
to get your weight. So if you're 100 pounds, you're just under, you're about 45, 50 kilos. So
Brilliant. And that's how many grams of protein that you need to
mhm.
survive. Now, don't get me wrong, I try and up my protein as much as I can because I want a specific physique. So you've got those bodybuilders out there that they want big muscles, they want like me. I enjoy a muscular body. That's just my preference. That's my personal preference. So I eat
Yeah,
more protein specifically because I want to build that. But to thrive and survive, you don't need that much. So you're looking at about 1 gram per kilo of your body weight plus. Now you can go 1.4, 1.8, depending on your level of training. So
yeah,
again, it's reverting back to soy. Sorry, I digress. It's
okay.
very important for protein, for calcium. It helps alleviate the fatty, which is like your lipids in your bloodstream as well. So it helps reduce a lot of cardiovascular symptoms and diseases. It helps. So for those people who it doesn't have an adverse reaction to, it's
Hmm.
fantastic. But like you said, some people do have that adverse reaction.
Right,
They have
right.
that
Yeah,
inflammation. But that's
yeah.
the
And
same
I
with people who
do,
are gluten sensitive. Sorry.
no, no, you're good. And I do use soy, and I want to say that I do use soy in my diet. And like I said, there are a lot of reasons why I love soy. There are more reasons why I love it than why I don't love it. But I find that it can be a little bit of a challenge to like get enough protein in my diet. And I'm one of those people where I like variety in my food. Like I get
Yeah, get super bored super quickly. Well, I mean, there's so many ways to get your proteins. The protein is pretty much in most vegetable. It's in most grains. It's in nuts and it's in seeds. And again, if you're going by that 1 gram per kilo of your body weight, that's a pretty good amount. And it's very achievable. And again, I go back to that as long as you're doing it right. So you can have a vegan and they can eat completely vegan and they can live completely vegan, but they can be very unhealthy. If you're plant-based, you can still be relatively unhealthy because of all the new kind of snacks and foods and fast foods that are out there, but it's probably healthier. Then there's one step up, which is a whole foods plant-based diet.
Mhm.
I would love to coach people on a whole foods plant-based diet, but I myself can't stick to a whole foods plant-based diet because I like the convenience of some things. Um,
Right.
I like I like to consume protein shakes. They keep me full because that's what protein does. And again, it adds to my overall protein intake. So my brain's gone. My brain's gone again.
So,
Just
right.
gone.
So we were talking about what are your other favorite sources of plant-based protein besides soy?
Mm. Um,
Yeah.
I eat a lot of oats. So oats and peanut butter, I pretty much have that most days, and it is fantastic. There is a decent amount in there for protein. Again, I wouldn't, as long as you're consuming a variety of foods, you don't need to obsess over it. So as long as you have the right education and the right tools in place, you no longer need to obsess about it, and it just comes natural. There's loads of protein in legumes and grains, so other grains apart from oats, buckwheat you've probably heard of, quinoa you've probably heard of. All of these things,
Yes.
all of these grains, they do contain protein as well. So vegetables as well, grains, nuts, seeds, and lentils and chickpeas. So that includes homemade hummuses, stuff that's not as processed, because you'll find that they kind of strip the foods bare and then add lots of fat, sugar, and salt. So if you made your own hummus, for example, it would probably be higher in protein because you'll have more chickpea to oil ratio and so on and so forth. Um, oh yeah, I was going to say soy yogurt then. But yeah, like almond milk, oat milk, all of these things are a great replacement if you don't want to drink soy. And soy is one of the most popular non-dairy alternatives out there. But if
Hmm.
you are concerned about your protein as well, just remember that some things don't have protein in it. So if have you heard of pulled jackfruit before?
I've heard of jackfruit. I don't know that I've ever seen one here.
Okay, so we only get it in cans in the UK. There's no way it would probably even get through customs. I don't know, it's massive. Um,
Okay.
so jackfruit is coming, it's quite up and popular because when it's cooked and seasoned properly, it tears apart like a pulled meat, like a pulled pork, pulled chicken, or pulled beef. It has that kind of texture to it. Um, if
So
you're
kind of like a spaghetti squash.
I think, yeah, yeah, when you fork that out, very similar to that. So when
Okay.
you're making a meal, just be mindful, where is my protein coming from in this meal? I was actually talking to a friend yesterday, and we were talking about foods, and I said, yeah, I do swap some ingredients around just to increase the nutrient density of that meal. So instead of having pulled jackfruit, I might then, especially if I'm being super lazy, bring in a fake meat. And that's what I mean by some of these processed foods. I don't quite live off whole foods because I have a busy lifestyle. It's not
Right.
necessarily an excuse, but it's realistic for my lifestyle. And that's where I meet my clients. If they have the time, if they have the money, if they have the energy to put into creating healthy foods for themselves, then we work with that. If they don't, we start from the very simplest of changes and swaps.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And I just want to say that is, I think, one of the benefits of having a coach is it's one thing to get the information. It's a lot different to actually put it into action.
Mm.
And I think I've seen you mention it too on your site. You know, coaches have coaches. I have a marketing coach and team that helped me redesign my website because I was struggling with it and it was taking up too much of my time. And I'm like,
Mm.
I don't want to struggle with this. I can spend another like 3 months trying to learn this and figure it myself, or I can make an investment in my business and free myself up to do the things that I need to do. And honestly, for me, it was a little bit of an excuse to not do some of the other things I needed to do in my business. So I think having a health coach or a nutrition expert, you know, like yourself, I think the huge benefit that people don't realize is you
Mm.
can read articles and watch YouTube videos and whatever, but actually doing it is different. And that's where it's nice to have a coach like Bianca who can help you, you know, understand not just why you're doing it, but the how to do it. And the how is where most people get stuck.
Mm.
And that's where we need, you know, the help of coaches. And it's an investment, you know, and you have to make a decision. Are you going to invest in your health and your well-being. You're investing in your future. And I think a lot of people don't realize how affordable services are. Like there are a lot of people out there offering, some great help for people out there. And I think the services are really reasonable when you look at it. And if you look at what you're going to gain from hiring a coach to help teach you the how. I've thought about we've slowly been transitioning in our family to more plant-based diet, but since it's not just me, I have to not only do I have to fight with my own like food thoughts and cravings and I want the junk food, but then I have to contend with the kids and the family.
Mm.
And I know one of the other things we wanted to talk about today was, and you mentioned it a little bit, is variety. So, and I think when you're going to plant-based diet, that is something that people struggle with. And if you're not getting in the variety, you're going to lose out on some of those nutrients from the animal-based food sources. So,
Mm.
if you want to share a little bit on how do you help people resolve that?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? It is one of the biggest, not misconceptions, I'd say the biggest concern for a lot of people is, okay, so if I go plant-based, what about all the nutrients that I'm missing out on?
Yeah, from meat. So I'm thinking off the top of my head, I'm thinking B vitamins.
Hmm. But this is what I mean. The biggest question is, well, what were you missing out on before?
Oh,
Because if
that's a
you were
good
having,
point.
because if you were having meat instead of beans,
Yeah,
where's all the nutrients that you're going to get from the beans? If you're
right,
having chicken over soy, where are you going to get that calcium from? Where are you going to get those phytoestrogens that are going to help you through the menopause from?
right.
If you're consuming more dairy, eggs, cheese, and meat, what are you consuming less of? Now, the answer, unfortunately, especially for the standard American diet, is processed foods, meat,
Hmm.
dairy, and eggs, which are all super inflammatory, saturated fats, cholesterol, and more. So
Yeah,
when people say,
definitely.
what nutrients am I going to be missing out on? I'm like, well, what were you missing out on beforehand? I'm like, it's one of those things. It's like, why do you suddenly care? Is this an excuse? Is this a mindset thing? Do we need to dive into the mindset first? So,
Oh, you're absolutely right. Like that is such a great perspective.
but it's like, okay, I'm going to make this change. But what am I missing out on? It's that sudden like, oh, but I'm going to be restricted, or oh, I'm going to miss out on something. Hang on a minute. Well, let's switch that. No, you are bringing so much more into your life, into your health, into your
Yep.
longevity. Like you're bringing so much more in. Like it's just natural for us to go, oh no, what am I missing out on? No, tune into the positive. Don't tune into the negative. Anyway, so after I poke a little bit around and have some fun, I kind of we you're right, exactly, with especially B12. You're probably thinking there are some vitamins and nutrients that are going to be quite difficult to get, and simply
Hmm.
because the animal is pretty much the middleman. So the animal eats the food that we would eat, and then we eat the animals, which is then in the muscle and in the meat that we eat. And so they're like the middleman. So
Right.
they get all of the B12, which then passes on into the form of the meat, and then we consume that. A lot of foods are fortified now, and especially a lot more because it's becoming more apparent that B12 might be lacking. So B12 is found in soil. It's pretty much a bacteria that is
Mhm.
very difficult to come by nowadays because of modern farming. And I know this is part of one of your questions that you gave me as well. Because of modern farming, we use a lot of pesticides, a lot of chemicals that we spray on the foods
Mhm.
just to try and get rid of all of these nasties, when it actually just adds more chemicals. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's stripping away the nutrients per se, but it does mean that you are consuming more chemicals than you need to. Are they
Right.
food safe? Well, yeah, because we can eat them and no one's died from eating too many vegetables. as far as I'm aware, no one's died from eating too many vegetables or from consuming too much vitamins and minerals. Um,
Yeah, I don't think so. The majority of vitamins are water soluble,
mm,
and so you can consume them. And if you don't use them, then your body's simply gonna eliminate the excess. The fat soluble vitamins that we do try and keep an eye on, and I'm sure you know this, vitamin D. And really, you don't need to monitor it unless you're taking a supplement. And then that's something that could be checked once a year or so with your regular provider, your regular blood work that you would go in and get anyway. So
mm,
it's not like you have to be going to the doctors every week. And like some medications we use, you have to have regular, like daily or weekly monitoring. So it's not like that, but there are some fatty vitamins that if you're adding in supplements, then. But I don't think that's too big of a concern from a all plant-based perspective.
no, exactly. And I mean, I think the biggest concerns overall, from like a scientific perspective, from what I've seen, are B12, which you
Hmm.
can supplement easily. Um,
Hmm.
I have run out of B12 like months ago, but I consume a lot of nutritional yeast, which has B12 in it, a lot of fortified soy milk, which has B12 in it, and a lot of other fortified foods. Like I said, a lot of foods are now encouraging B12, which milk and stuff, a lot of other animal products were fortified in the first place.
Right.
You're just not getting all of the antibiotics, all of the hormones, all of the saturated fats, all of the cholesterol, and all of that. So yeah, B12, vitamin D, as you said, which is technically not a vitamin, as we probably realise, it's actually kind of a hormone-like steroid. It
Hmm.
trans it takes from the sun, and it basically gives you vitamin D in your body. That's pretty much how it works. So that again is just daylight. All you need is 20 minutes of daylight. I mean,
Yes.
need I go on to mention the benefits of taking a 20-minute walk, apart from everything about it?
Yes, and you don't have to have like your whole body exposed. You really only need your forearms, like the surface area of your forearms for those 20 minutes. So,
That's perfect because I like
even if
just getting them warm, like
yeah, you
getting
just
nice and
yeah, so
toasty.
even if the weather isn't great, I think a lot of people forget like I can't forget because I burn really easy. Like even when it's cloudy, the sun is still out there. So getting
Mm,
outside and you're still going to get some of those benefits. So
mm.
I think in kind of our position here on the globe in Ohio, a lot of us tend to be deficient in vitamin D just because of where we are in relationship to the sun. But I think, there's so many other benefits, like you're saying about just getting outside and, for your
Again,
mental health.
that's another story. That's another
That's
blog
another,
on
yeah,
my. That's another blog on my
that's another
website.
talk. And
Exactly. Um,
yeah, so do you want to dive in a little more about, you were talking about the farming techniques and we were talking about, I know we were talking about organic versus non-organic. Like, is it really that big of a decision? Because I know we have a lot of families here that are choosing to not buy produce because of fears. And I think, like you said too, I think we have to be careful when we're listening to messages on the TV or social media, whatever. And something I've been educating people about, like the environmental working group that puts out the Dirty Dozen
15.
and the Clean 15
Yeah,
list every
I
year.
was going to
Like,
mention that today.
yeah, so a lot of people don't realize that they are funded by the organic farms. So, and I don't want to say that they're not doing anything good because I think they still have good work to do, but I think I think it adds a layer to the discussion to know that they are getting that and they're getting that from the big organic farms. So here in America, the process of becoming a certified organic farmer can be really expensive. So a lot of our local farms and smaller farms never undergo the process. So even though they may be using like organic farm practices, they can't afford to go through the process to get the sticker on their products. It's expensive. And so I don't know what are your experiences over there and your thoughts. Like, is it really is it really worth the extra money to spend? Because I've seen sometimes produce is 4 times the cost if it's got
Mm,
that sticker on the front.
mm. First of all, I just want to quickly go back to the vitamins and minerals, if you don't mind, very
Sure.
quickly. Some other vitamins and minerals that can be of concern are omega-3s, specifically DHA and EPA.
Yes.
But these can, again, as I'm trying to, as I try and explain to my clients, with a varied diet, you can hit all of these. Supplementation, absolutely, totally recommend it if you show that your blood levels are low. I took vitamin D through winter because I live in the blistering UK, and that just helped me balance out. And iodine and vitamin K2. But again, all of these things can be either supplemented or eaten, and I prefer to eat food than supplement. So if I have an
Yes.
excuse to eat more food, then so be it. Anyway, back to organic and non-organic. I completely get this, and this is a debate that I've had in my head for a while as well. Well, organic is going to be better for you because you don't have all of the extra chemicals that is going into your body. At the same time, I am not being paid a ridiculous amount of money, so I can't then afford it. And again, it's just meeting you where you are. It's not going to strip you of nutrients, but what is buying vegetables and fruits and everything that's from further away. So if it's not organic, but it's local, that's going to be fresher. So it's going to be, or frozen, may I add. If it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like they call it snap frozen or lock frozen over here, if it's pretty much like
Yes.
picked and then frozen, that's going to retain all of the nutrients.
I
And
love
if it's,
frozen. I
yeah,
love frozen because
uh,
sometimes you get more nutrients because it hasn't been sitting out in transport and sitting in the store waiting for you to buy it and eat it.
exactly. If you think how long it's taken for that to be picked, put in the basket, taken to the farm,
Mhm.
maybe the next day they'll then take it to go and get washed. And then the next day afterwards, they might start storing them up. Following day, they might start shipping. That might take about 4 days. The process gets longer and longer and longer. And the longer it leaves, exactly what you said, the more nutrients you end up losing. So frozen and local. If they're pretty much two really cheap options as an alternative to organic. So it can be expensive eating organic. And if you have the money, then do it. If you have the money, then go and get a personal trainer, go and get health coaches, go and get, holistic advice for medicines and anything that you need. Go and look after your health, please.
Yeah.
But if money is an issue, like it has been for me for a very long time, I don't go
Mhm.
organic. I go as local as I possibly can, which generally isn't the UK because we don't grow anything here. And it's all imported and seasonal.
It's the same problem here in Ohio.
So yes, local, seasonal, and frozen. Don't be scared of frozen foods. It is great. It is a low cost option. And like you said, it can often have more nutrients.
Mhm.
It does depend on the way you cook it as well. If you let the
Yeah.
foods naturally defrost and then you blanch the foods, you're retaining more of that nutrient density as well. The longer you cook vegetables and legumes and fruit and anything, the less nutrients is going to be left over. But going back to something that you mentioned earlier, something is better than nothing. Like I said,
Mhm.
unfortunately, the standard American diet is mainly made up of processed foods. And it's very similar to the diet of the UK population too.
Mhm.
It's massively and heavily processed. And if it's not sprayed with with all these chemicals, it's heavily processed. If it needs to come in a packet with like little separators in between each thing or individually wrapped, you probably don't need it.
Right. Yeah. We say if it comes in a box.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. If it comes in a box, it's probably not, it's probably very processed. And at that point, you've probably lost,
99%.
the nutritional value, and you're just, we would call it empty calories.
Yeah.
You know, you're eating and your body's taking in calories, and that's the trouble with a lot of the process-based products and the fast food and things like that, is they're convenient. You're taking in calories, but you know, like you're saying, what else are you missing? And I like to teach, you know, even I teach a lot for my children. You know, everything in life has a cost. You know, what are you giving up? Are you giving up time? Are you giving up your future and a healthy life? You know, I have plans to go and see the UK. Like, it's on my travel list
Brilliant.
someday, you know. Yes, I would love to be able to come over and meet, you know, some of my overseas friends. We have family in Nigeria, so I'd like to travel back there again. Like, I have plans with my life, and I
Mm.
don't want to be miserable from a health standpoint, so that when we're at a place financially, when our children are out of the house in college, I told them I'm getting on a plane to Europe. And but I want to be able to do that. I want to be
Mm.
healthy enough to go and enjoy my trip. I want to be able to go hiking and, you know, all over the places. And, you know, there are some beautiful places and things that you can't get to if you can't physically even make it there. You know, like, there's so much of our planet out there that, you know, why are
Mm.
you missing out? So when you make a decision on what you're going to spend something on, you're either spending your time or your energy or your emotions or your money, but you also have to look at the trade-offs. What is the cost? What is it costing you for that convenience food? And, you know, our one kids used to like, they came to us, they liked the processed mac and cheese in the box. And I'm like,
I have an amazing recipe for vegan mac and cheese, and it tastes amazing. And it's, sorry, I'm just
do
grabbing the kind of.
you? Do you?
I have,
Okay,
yes,
I'm gonna have to
it's not
try it.
mine. I stole it from someone, but I'm passing it on to the world because it is amazing and it's nutritious.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to find that. I know I've been in your group for a little while now, and I've been checking out all the awesome stuff. And I will say, I'll mention your group real quick. It's called, what is it called?
It's
Women's
called
Plant-Based Weight Loss Community on
beautiful.
Facebook. And I feel like it's so much more than weight loss that you're offering people. And I've had a lot of people ask me about doing more material myself on like weight loss, and I'm like, all right, first of all, that's not, like, that's the wrong goal. You know, yes,
Yeah.
you want to lose weight, and that's not a bad goal, but it shouldn't be our if you focus on the number on the scale, you're going to be very frustrated and disappointed. And I think what you're offering is so much more than just weight loss tips.
It's
I've
really
been poking
difficult
around.
because as the person that I am, I want to help everyone with everything, and it's just like, and then
Yes.
you probably know with this kind of business, they say, right, you need to tell people that you get one thing. They need to know that they get weight loss. They don't need to know. And I'm like, hang on a minute, they need to know that they're going to live longer, that they're going to reduce their chances of illness and disease and heart attacks, and you know, and they're going to lose weight in the process, and they're going to gain energy, and they're going to feel more clarity, and like, from a business perspective, they're like, you can't list that in one
Yeah.
title. And I'm just like, okay, weight loss. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that. It's so much more than weight loss. You know, people come to me because they don't know how to transition to plant-based. People come to me because they want to. One of my last clients wanted to increase their weight in a healthy way. So it's, you know,
Yes.
it's very much well-rounded, and I love talking about plant-based, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to tell you to eat carrots and broccoli for the rest of your life, because that is not how a plant-based diet works. If, you said that you've seen my posts, so you've probably seen all of the amazing, incredible, beautiful meals that I get to eat, and that's being plant-based.
I love it. I love what you share. I think it's a very welcoming community for people out there looking for a community to join. Like, the people in the group seem to be really active and just welcoming and positive community. And I know it can be a struggle sometimes, when you're trying to make healthy changes in your life, trying to
Mm.
find those good communities that you can kind of plug into and get that other support.
Yeah.
And I had some more questions for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I scrolled down, I lost my places here. Um, So since we're talking about your website and your business a
Mm.
little bit, you chose a dragonfly
Mhm.
for your
Mhm.
logo.
Mhm.
Do you want to share about that a little bit?
Oh, for some reason, I can never remember it off the top of my head. So I'm going to read. I've just got my laptop here, so I want to quickly read the one passage that massively resonated with me. And I don't know, I don't remember where I read it. But first of all, I learned about the dragonfly because one of my friends came to me in class. I was doing aerial yoga class, and she said, "Do you like my new tattoo?" And she said, "It's a dragonfly." I said, "Oh, why did you get a dragonfly?" She said, "Because it signifies XYZ." And I was like, wow. And that stuck. I don't know why. I don't know how. It just stuck. And I can't find this bleeding thing for the love of me. And it just really resonated with me. And I was like, that is amazing. It just goes to show that anyone can make a change for the positive at any time in their life. And it's absolutely incredible. So I can't get, for some reason, I can't find the bleeding picture now. Um, so it basically means a change in character, a growth, strength, and in the beauty of changing. This passage, I really need to remember it off by heart because it literally is the
I
best thing.
think,
Here we go.
yeah,
I got it.
I
I got it.
think
I
it,
got it.
yeah.
So
Oh, good, good.
the dragonfly signifies a path to new worlds. They represent transformation and change in perspective, energy, potential, maturity, depth of character, power, and poise. The dragonfly navigates with elegance and grace. And for me, this was just absolutely like, this was me because I was going through that change. I started to eat slightly more vegetables, healthier, less meat, less dairy and eggs. Not less eggs at that stage. I used to love eggs up until I went plant-based. Um, and it just really resonated with me. And then when I created the business, I was like, it needs to be a dragonfly. And I'm just literally confirming the last couple of details, fine details on my logo. But my logo is going to have the dragonfly in the background with a power pose outline of a woman in front. I'm so excited for it.
Oh, that's going to be great. I can't wait to see it. And I do want to let everybody know that I will post your links so they can find you in your Facebook group.
Mm,
They can find you on your website. I'll post those links in the comments.
mm,
And then Bianca Jayne has a wonderful 7-day meal plan. This is a free resource, and I downloaded it a couple days ago because like I said, I've been snooping around and checking everything out because I always love to learn more. I am trying to incorporate more plants into our diet, and
mm.
I expected just a simple meal plan, but there is so much in that 7-day freebie guide. I'm like clicking on the links, and then I think I'm getting an oatmeal recipe, and then I click on the link and I'm not getting one oatmeal recipe. I'm getting like 50 oatmeal recipes. Like
Okay, that sounds really overwhelming. It's not that overwhelming, guys. I
it's
promise.
not, no, but yeah, let me clarify. So, it's enough that you can start with, but
Yeah,
there are resources
yeah,
connected into that 7-day freebie.
yeah.
So when you're ready, those resources are there for you. And I like that you do that. That's one of the things I like to do is share resources that I find that are good sources, because I think, and we talked about this in our one workshop that I did. I think we've really lost some of the knowledge of like cooking and preparing foods
Mm,
because of our fast-paced lifestyle. And I think people have this misconception that like cooking and preparing plant-based foods has to be this really labor-intensive and exhausting process and take hours. And I think you can do a great job. You share with people, how do you do this quickly? There's really a lot of very fast plant-based, and I think people don't realize it doesn't take as much time to cook a plant as it does to cook a meat.
exactly.
But
And can I say, I am both lazy and healthy. So
yes,
I can dice a pack of onions in about half an hour, or I can throw it in my food processor for 3 seconds and wash it up by the time I'd finished the first onion. So I'm
right.
lazy, but I'm healthy. So
Right.
I don't want it to be labor intensive is one thing that I show my clients. And that's actually one of the challenges, which I did want to briefly skim over quickly as well, is when people
No,
go
no, keep
plant-based.
going. We're good.
Okay,
We are good on time. So
okay, fantastic.
I know you have so much expertise to share, so
Oh,
I
I love
appreciate you.
talking about it so much.
Yeah, so yeah, let's talk about those challenges that you help people with.
Yeah, and this is pretty much one of a couple of things. The reason why I made the 7 day food plan is because when I went plant-based, I was like, oh, brilliant, I've got 5 cookbooks. I mean, right behind me, I've got 3. I'm like, right,
Mhm.
okay, great. I've got 5 cookbooks. Okay, where do I start? What do I go for? What do I do first? Oh, okay, that looks
Mhm.
nice, but that looks nice. But then I'm having tofu 3 times a week. Should I be having something else? And then it was just so much overwhelm from it. And I was like, oh my God, but this recipe has this sauce and this recipe has this sauce. And hang on a minute, now I have to buy 100 different ingredients for this week. And then next week, what am I going to want? What's going to be left over? So with the
Right.
7 day meal plan and the 28-day meal plan, which I'll explain in just a moment, it really reduces, because when you're like, oh, you get 50, I was like, hopefully not, because I tried to create
No,
it
no,
with
no, no.
intentions of reducing
That's why
overwhelm.
I wanted to clarify. I'm like, no, no, you can link to the other resources,
Yeah,
but the 7 day meal plan it's just a really nice place to start. And I
yeah,
like the fact that the recipes were I do enjoy cooking. I do have, to me, one of the assets that I have is that I do enjoy cooking. I have good cooking skills. I cook almost every night for our family, but I'm able to do that most of the time.
yeah.
That being said, we were driving home from a friend's last night, and we went through a drive-through and got takeout because it was 7 o'clock at night, and we were on the road, and we're looking at the clock, and we're like,
Yeah, crap,
so
I need to get
now
something.
everybody
I'm
had
getting
burgers and
hungry.
yeah, everybody had burgers and fries. I ordered a salad. Like you can do fast food better.
Better, yeah.
It's even if it's not great. But
And that's
yeah,
one
so this
thing that I tell my clients as well is honestly 1% improvement every single day. If you put in 1% effort, think about how little of a decision that is. Think about how that's like 1 minute. After
yeah,
365 days, that's a 365% improvement. Like,
right.
things build, things take time. If you are 50 years old, how do you
Mhm.
expect to reverse 50 years of deeply ingrained habits and behaviors in a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks? It's not going to be that
Right,
fast. And
right.
realistically, it won't be easy like that. So
No.
give yourself ease, give yourself time and comfort and grace, and really flow into it in a way that suits you, and just really slowly adapt. And this is one of the
Mhm.
challenges as well, is I find that people just go too hard too soon. And I was really lucky when I went to do the transition. I was really lucky that I had my friends by my side, and they introduced me to so many things that I didn't even know about, even after being
Mhm.
pescatarian and studying nutrition and studying health coaching. I still didn't know about a lot
Mhm.
of things, practical things, what's easy to mix with what, or how should I balance out a meal? And that whole overwhelm around creating a meal plan, creating something that's consistent or healthy or balanced every single meal throughout the day, it was a lot of overwhelm. And so that was like the one of the challenges that I really, really wanted to help with creating the 7 day and the 28-day meal plans, is to really
Mhm.
give people an idea of, oh wow, plant-based can be easy, it can be cheap, it
Mhm.
can be versatile. And it doesn't have to just be a salad every day. Like, a lot of the recipes in the 7 and the 28-day meal plans are very similar to what you would probably usually have. Like, my favorite
Yeah.
recipe out of all of them is the spaghetti bolognese. And I make it with lentils and tomatoes and a bit of red wine, because why not? Because it's delicious
Well, yeah.
and super nutritious. But it's not too far fetched. It's not too far from something that you would typically eat.
Mhm.
So again, it's just making sure every one of those recipes, making sure every one of those meals is
Mhm.
comfortable and it's not overwhelming, and you're not suddenly going from eating regular food to eating a salad every day. Um,
Right, right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a big misconception I hear a lot. I don't want to just eat salad every day, and the meal plan
I
just
don't want to eat
saves
salad every
you.
day. I mean, I love salad, but I don't
Yeah,
eat
I
salad
mean,
every day.
I go in phases. Like we were
Mm.
talking, I was talking to a friend. I'm like I'm out of my oatmeal phase right now. Like I do enjoy oatmeal for breakfast. I've done a variety of like overnight oats, or sometimes I'm
I'm on that
lazy.
phase at the moment. The
Are
overnight
you out of
oats.
your oatmeal phase? It's
I'm out of my
summertime.
warm. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's summertime, so I'm doing more of like my protein shake or like a smoothie in the morning with some other things like fresh fruit and stuff. But I think the advantage to a meal plan is it saves you so much time.
oh,
It
most
saves you
certainly.
overwhelm.
Yeah.
It saves you time. And then a lot of people worry about like, and you mentioned this about waste. Food waste is
Mm,
I don't know about your neighborhood, but we do a really good job of wasting food here in America, and that's a shame. But that's a skill. Yeah, it is. It's a shame, especially when there are so many people who are struggling. It
mm,
breaks my heart. And so I think the nice part about a meal plan is when you have somebody that's put that, one, you're going to get the variety that you need. So you get all the nutrition that you need by having that structure, but you're also going to reduce your waste because
mhm,
you have put the thought and the planning into creating recipes that you're using the same, similar ingredients throughout the week. So even if you're not, like I'm cooking for 6 people, but maybe you're cooking for 1 or 2 people, then, being sure that you're reusing those ingredients in creative ways is going to be important to reduce that waste and your cost.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. And one massive rule that I stick by is I never cook for one meal. I will never ever cook for one meal. If I'm cooking for one meal, it's just making a protein shake. Um,
Yeah.
and that's the rule of thumb that I go by because it takes an extra 5 minutes to prepare another meal when that
Hmm.
second meal, if I was to make that from scratch, would take me half an hour for minimum. So why not spare 5 minutes now and then save 30 minutes tomorrow? And
Right.
so it's a massive time saver, and you can double up and then have it not the next day, but the following day. So you don't have like you can then cook meals for like in between the days. So you're not having the same meal every day. Um, but yeah, repetitiveness is like I don't eat the same thing every week. My
Yeah.
meals are completely different. But that's the good thing about
Yeah.
being plant-based. And this is one of the challenges as well. Sorry, I keep bringing it back to challenges, but this is one
Yeah.
of the
No,
big
good. It's good.
this is one of the biggest challenges is a mindset shift as well. Like I said earlier,
Mhm.
people generally think that going plant-based means that you're going to be eating the same, means that you're not going to have much to choose from. Well,
Mhm.
actually, I've got a task that I give my clients who struggle with the abundance mindset. I call it the abundance mindset, which is actually in the 28-day meal plan. I still need to explain that.
Yeah.
And it's a mindset thing. So if you switch that around and say, hang on a minute, but what am I going to have? What is out there? What is available? Let's switch this around. So let's not focus on what I'm leaving behind. Because as soon as you start focusing on what you're leaving behind and what you don't have anymore, you start wanting that. So shift your focus on to
Mhm.
everything else that you get to have. I get to try 5 types of lentils. You know, how many people know that there's so many different types of lentils out there? I didn't.
I did not. I was going to say that. I did not know there were 5. I have one in my
Well,
pantry, and I saw that recipe for the bolognese, and I'm like, okay, now I know something I can do with these.
yeah. I mean, literally off the top of my head, I can think of red, green, brown, black, yellow.
Mhm.
You've got those, and they're slightly different textures, slightly
Mhm.
different flavors. Some of them work really well. Um, I don't use black lentils that often because they're quite nutty. They're quite firm, and they're a pain in the butt to soak because they take forever to expand. But I'll use red lentils when I'm making a quick recipe or the bolognese. But then I'll use the black lentils if I'm going to make a dish, which I can just prepare. Literally take 5 minutes. I told you I'm lazy. It only takes 5 minutes to less than 5 minutes to soak them. Um, but that goes overnight. So
Well,
really,
y- yeah, and I've learned that there's a lot of like there's there's a lot of easy ways. Like I know some people like to do meal prepping ahead of time.
Mm,
Sometimes spending an hour in the kitchen can save you 5 or 6 hours during the week. And I also know that for me, if I have that meals prepared and ready, I'm less likely to reach for food I shouldn't be eating.
mhm, mhm. Absolutely. And that is the same with me, honestly. I live a pretty healthy life. I'm grateful to say that I am now finally happy in the body and the mindset that I have. But sorry, I'm just trying to get something up on the computer as well so I can show you, explain it. Um, and I'm plant-based and I am unhealthy sometimes and I have a
Yeah.
good balance. You know, it's really about working with your lifestyle and you can make it work. If you're short on time, you can make it easy and quick. If you're short on money, you can make it cheap and cost effective.
Right.
If challenges, another challenge as well for a lot of people, and it sounds like you had a very similar problem, is but my husband or my partner or my kids, they won't get involved. Okay,
Hmm.
look at my meal plan and make that mac and cheese and tell me they don't like it. Because honestly, it will blow your mind. So it's really a matter of, okay, let's just work around this. Let's work around your lifestyle and see what suits. You know, and that's something
Yeah,
that you were saying earlier as well, is that's where a coach comes in, and that's where I come in,
absolutely.
because I can say, right, okay, if it's the transition that you're stuck with, perfectly fine, I can help with that as well, and let's look at what works for you. Whereas if it's specifically weight loss, because a lot of people say, ah, oh, I've gone vegan, but I'm actually putting on weight. I'm supposed to lose weight.
Mhm.
This is what I've been told. And we'll look at the foods that they're having. Yes, they're vegan, but are they healthy? Not at all. Because in
Right.
2022, we have as much junk food that's vegan as as we do as non-vegan junk food now.
Right.
You know,
Again, watching for
five
those boxes and
yeah, literally five
yeah,
years ago,
if
vegan
mhm.
automatically defaulted to the healthiest diet. Now we have to say whole foods plant-based diet for the healthiest diet. Um, but yeah, I've mentioned the 28-day meal plan a few times. The 7-day meal plan is
Yes.
free. It's completely free. The 28-day meal plan, what I have mentioned to you is I would love to offer it to everyone within this group, everyone that sees this video. And I do believe you've got a link for that you'll be able to post.
I do have
20,
the link.
fantastic. So 28-day meal plan for £28, which I should have actually um, converted, but I didn't even think about converting it into US dollars. So it works out
It's
at one to
about
one.
1 to 1 right now.
1 to 1. My
Yeah.
goodness. So yeah,
You
so
you didn't catch that.
no, no. It
No, for the first for the first time, and I think since the invention of the euro, I think the dollar is worth more than the euro. Now that was a couple days ago,
mm,
and finances change so rapidly, but
mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think it's pretty close. Or the most I've seen it is like €1 is like $1.25 here in American, so it's pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, tell them about all the awesomeness in the 28-day meal plan, because there's so much more. And you talked about like mindset changes, which is really important, I think, when you're working on improving your health. And I always tell people, there are 4 pillars to health. You want to build a healthy foundation. You can start small. It doesn't have to be drastic. You don't need to spend 6 hours in the gym every day. I mean, unless you're a
Why
bodybuilder, and
not?
that's your job. But and you look beautiful, by the way, and you can tell in your photos and when you speak that you feel that way on the inside also, which I think is even more valuable. And I love that you want to help other women experience that, empowerment and change. But
But that's come from the
so
mindset as opposed to the
it's
physical
yeah,
change for me
right.
massively.
And health is about nutrition is one of the 4 pillars. Your sleep is one of the 4 pillars, exercise and activity, and your mental health,
Yes,
mental
yes, and
spiritual
yes.
health. So when you're going toward, if you're looking at the 28-day meal plan as a good tool and a resource, what do they get?
A lot. A lot. I've been told so many times, oh my God, there's so much in your 28-day meal plan. It's pretty
Yeah,
much written in steps. So follow the steps. You can't go wrong. Don't skip ahead because it might get overwhelming. Just follow the steps. Follow a page. Page 1, page 2, page 3. But there's a lot in there. So it includes links to video tutorials. It includes recipe cards, my own recipe cards for breakfast, lunch, dinner, mid-morning snack and afternoon snack. I have a link to a recipe. Those recipes aren't always mine because I'm not a chef. I would rather outsource to chefs who make great recipes as opposed to myself. I think I'm okay cooking for myself, but if I was to make a recipe that was to suit everyone, it probably wouldn't be that great. And so for 4 weeks, you literally have breakfast, lunch, dinner, mid-morning snack and afternoon snack if they're needed.
Yeah.
Organized and sorted. After every single week, there's a shopping list. So you have everything to write down. You look at the week 1, you look at week 2, you look at week 1, you look at the shopping list. Right, what do I need? What do I already have? In separate categories, easy. I think that was one of the biggest difficulties for me with the shopping list is I would just be like, oh, what do I need for that recipe? What do I need for that recipe? And it's just so simple and it's just there. I'm looking because there's so much
that's a
in
big
it.
time saver.
Yeah, I'm looking because I've put so much in here that I can't actually remember. So you've got 4 weeks worth of all of that organized all for you. You don't have to do anything for it. Recipe cards, meal planning secret. So this is literally my favorite part is meal prepping because people think it's going to take all day. It does not have to. Again, utilize what you can. I use my food processor for everything because it takes seconds. Be lazy, you can.
And they're pretty affordable tool to add to the kitchen. Like they're affordable.
They really are. And if you can't justify spending a bulk amount of money, think about how much time you can save and where can you repurpose that time. Honestly, you are saving so much for yourself. How to equip your kitchen properly, which kind of ties in nicely with what we were just saying.
Okay.
There are some simple utensils and tools that I wish I got 5-10 years ago that would have changed the way that I prepare my food. And it takes much less time, less waste, but just by using these and less stress as well. So that page I found really useful, especially for people who are just starting to go plant-based, didn't quite know the best things to have around. That also includes cupboards or like pantry staples. So there are some things that I will always have in my cupboards because if you are having a lazy day or you forgot a meal off your shopping list and you have these essentials, you can make a basic but tasty meal that's plant-based and in line with your goals. If you have some basics already in your pantry, which is so important, it is a fantastic thing to have last minute. I literally did this yesterday and I was like, I wasn't having a great day yesterday. I was a bit foggy from the weekend because I'd been out dancing on Saturday. And I realised that I hadn't organised a meal for Sunday. And so I was like, oh no. And then I was like, wait a minute, I have my pantry staples. So it happens to the best of us. And then I literally just whipped together a quick meal because I had those staples in the house. They are so, so important. Also talking about, this is in the 28-day meal plan, abundance mindset, which is a huge, huge, big shift for a lot of people that they find very difficult. And then it just goes on to explain a little bit about me, where I've come from, the services I provide, and an area for like just brain dumping and notes, because that is so important for not only just figuring out a plant-based lifestyle or weight loss, but it's I find brain dumping the best activity you can for your mindset, for stress and for sleep and for just your general health and well-being. So that's the 28-day meal plan. With the link, sorry, that was a 20-minute spiel. With the
That's
link
okay. It's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot in there. With the link I'm going to give you, that is 28 days for £28. So it's literally £1 per day to have all of your meals sorted for that day. and you can rinse and repeat. After 4 weeks, you're going to forget what you had in week 1. So just carry on, adapt the more you get to know it. So do a couple of cycles of the 4-week meal plan, and you'll be like, yes, I've got this recipe down. I don't even need to look at the recipe cards anymore. I know what I already need. And it just helps kick off that motivation, helps get you organized and completely sussed out, saves a lot of time, stress, energy, and effort.
Absolutely, and I think what you've put together is just a beautiful program. And
Thank you.
if the 7-day meal plan is a great place to start. It's beautifully done, beautifully packaged, very useful and helpful. Like I said, I just downloaded it the other day, so I'm already like, ooh, like I've got some of those standard, like I keep those things in my pantry, and I'm like, I can try that. And
Fabulous.
I like the fact that a lot of the recipes that you chose, I think, are very family friendly. Like I
Yeah.
saw a lot of things that I think I could serve, and they would sit down and try. And
Yeah.
they will, at least they will mostly try things. So I do have that going for me. But um,
The
lastly,
biggest
are there
secret I
any
have,
final,
sorry,
huh?
the biggest secret I have with dealing with
Yeah.
children, if you're helping them transition to a plant-based lifestyle, don't tell them. Because a lot of the recipes, especially on here, or like the lentil bolognese, or if you were to make like a bean burger, they won't know. And you're not deceiving them because you're improving their diet. Just don't tell them.
Right.
I say the same to my clients. I said, don't tell your husband you're cooking that. Just tell them you're having spaghetti bolognese. They don't need to know.
Sometimes
I'm not
sometimes I
advocating for
do
lying,
that.
but I am.
I, I don't think it's lying if nobody asks. And if they ask, you can just say, "Oh, we're trying a new recipe tonight, right?" And then
Exactly.
afterwards, when they enjoy it, then you can say, "Oh, by the way, did you enjoy the new,
There you
whatever
go.
that we enjoyed tonight? Like, I'm really glad you like that." You can go after it that way. But
Nine
do you
times
have
out of ten, it works.
any final tips or tricks that you want to share for my audience? And also, how do people reach you if they want to work with you one-on-one? Because I think, again, I cannot state enough the value of having that personalized one-on-one coaching services.
Mm,
And I think, Bianca, Jayne, I've really loved getting to know you. I've loved getting to spend time with you and talk with you. And you have such a
thank
beautiful
you.
personality and
Oh,
so much energy. And I think that I really love your style. Like, it's very practical. It's very, realistic. It's very easy. And I can see you putting a lot of people at ease and, just reassuring them and comforting them with all their like anxieties. So
yeah.
what are your final thoughts, and how can they work with you personally?
Um, Final thoughts. You put me on the spot. If you think it won't happen, it won't happen. If you believe it will happen, it will happen. Your energy goes where you put it. So wherever you focus your energy, it will flow. If you say to yourself, yes, I want to be plant-based, or yes, I want to be more plant-based, yes, I want to be 1% more plant-based than yesterday, then that's great. It's really a huge mindset shift, and understand that. But understand, again, like I said, with ease and grace and time, that it will come, and eventually it will come. Focus on the positives. Focus on your why. Why do I want to change? This is the biggest driving factor for most coaches, for business coaches, for coaches like my business coach. She tells me to focus on my why. I tell my clients to focus on your why, because it is the biggest motivational push that anyone can have. I want to, like, one of my last clients was a gentleman, and he said, I don't want to die at the age of 50 like all of the men in my family. And
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my God. And imagine that, just having those pictures of your family there going, I want to live longer than that. I need to change my
Right.
lifestyle. So focus on your why. It will happen. Think of the positives. And it's difficult to shift that at first, but the more you get into practice, the better and easier it becomes. I think that's it. I like you said, Amy. Thank you so much for coming into my group. I've got so many free resources. Just shoot me up a message if you've got any questions. Please just tag me so I see that you've asked the question. Or if you don't see me reply, Amy, just tag me if you could. Ask away. I'm an open book. I will give you as much as I can. And if I don't know the answer, don't worry. I've got all my nutrition books. I got you.
I know. I have my collection of resources that are on my my desk. I used to tell, I haven't had a pharmacy student for a while, but I used to tell them, and I think it's the same with coaches, and really anything, but the best pharmacists or the best coaches are not the ones that have all of the answers. They are the ones that know where to find the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many reliable resources out there, so much information, so much more science that is coming out day after day after day that is just proving that this healthy plant-based lifestyle, regardless of whether it's organic or not organic, is so beneficial for longevity, for health, for everything. So don't pass up on a possible opportunity, at least improving your diet by 1%.
Yeah, 1% every day.
That's my thing. That's my thing. 1%.
I love that. Well, that's very
More
manageable.
achievable than 100%. You know, oh, okay, I need to change my lifestyle around tomorrow. That's not going to happen. You might do it for one day. I guarantee you it's not going to stick like that. But 1% every day, it adds up.
Yeah, I think that's the big advantage of the difference between like our New Year's resolutions and working with a coach one-on-one.
Yeah, massively.
One path you're probably not going to succeed. The other path, the coach is going to support you and give you the tools and accountability. If you know somebody's checking on you, you're much more likely to do what you need to do. So,
and the right information and the right steps. Like, it's the same with me and my business as well. Like, I know what I should be doing, but for me right now, right here, with what I have, I don't know what I should be implementing. And that's one of the challenges that I get with my clients. They're like, yeah, I know I need to eat this. I know I need to eat that. I know I should be exercising. I know this. But right now, what do I need to focus on? And really having that person to be able to keep your focus on the right steps at the right time in your life is super important. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate how much you've talked me up today. So no, I appreciate everything. Thank you for letting me come on.
I appreciate you being here. I mean it. There's a lot of people out there, but I love when I can connect with other people who are in the health and wellness industry that have such a genuine spirit and authenticity, and that is why I'm happy to have you here. And hopefully we'll continue to work together. Maybe we'll do more of these lives in the future. It's been a lot of fun.
Maybe we'll do a separate talk for protein next, and then we'll do a separate talk for soy.
Yeah, those could be separate talks too. And thank you for being here today. I hope you have a great afternoon. Thank you everybody for joining us again. Check out the links so you can get in contact with Bianca Jayne. Join her group. There's so much there for you that's accessible and free. Lots of good tools. And if you are watching the replay, please give us a hashtag replay so we know you watched it. And don't hesitate to ask. I will, if she doesn't see it.
Question.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. If she, yep.
I
yeah.
work at the gym in the mornings, just for a few hours. And if you think you're asking a silly question, I can probably spit out some questions that I've been asked in that gym or in hospitality for the last 12 years. If you think it's a silly question, it's only silly if you don't ask.
Yeah, that's why I tell people. I'm like, I know people kind of hesitate to ask when it comes to like health and wellness, but like you've been in this for a long time, and I've been in this for a long time, and I have heard all kinds of things. You won't shock us. You won't surprise us. We won't judge you. This is a loving and safe space. And, Bianca Jayne is an authentic person who really wants to help others get their best life and do
Yeah.
that with plant-based
Hit
nutrition.
it.
So
Smash it. Smash your life.
peace out.
Yeah.
Hope
Thank you
everybody out
so
there has a great
much.
week.
Yes. Thank you so much. You take
Bye.
care.
You too. Bye.